everyone. So today is day 5 of my 29-day live challenge, and I feel like this is a topic that everyone has been waiting probably on as it relates to the traits that I look for in a man. Now, I say this because I always talk about single stuff. Everyone knows that I'm single, and yeah, it's so funny for people to want to know, what do I necessarily look for in a man? So I'm going to share with you guys the 29 traits that I look for in a man. And I don't know about any other woman, but this is necessarily what I desire, and this is what when I meet someone, this is the traits that I necessarily like, or things that I would want my future husband to necessarily have. And I'm going to try not to say a lot of the cliche stuff that most people do say about what they look for in a man, but hopefully if my future husband sees this, then yeah, he'll think like I'm a good fit, which is not a bad reason of why I'm doing this video, because I feel like a lot of people try to reach out to me and talk to me, especially because they know that I'm necessarily single. However, they don't know what I look for, and so when I turn them down, I get a lot of backlash and a lot of attitudes. And I'm sorry, it's just because I'm single doesn't mean necessarily I'm desperate and I'm going to go for anything, which is a whole nother post. So, yes, I'm going to give you guys the 29 reasons of what I look for in my future husband, in a man in general, whether he could even be an amazing friend. But I'm really going to talk about future husband. So the first things first is I look for in a man confidence. He has to have confidence within himself, and that's just because I'm a very confident woman, and I feel like anyone that I necessarily walk with or that God is going to unite me with will have confidence. There's nothing wrong with men who do have a lack of confidence, but for me, I think I want a man who does already have confidence within himself. Number 2, I look for traits in a man of someone who is very funny and they like to laugh. I love laughter. I love laughing. I think it's good for your soul, like where you could just slap on your knee, whole belly hurting type of laugh. I love someone who can laugh. So that is a huge trait. He has to be funny and has to have a sense of humor. Number 3, people may think I'm wrong for this, but physically fit. Okay, I am physically fit. I do not always exercise or work out, however, like on a consistent basis, but he has to be physically fit. Now, what do you consider to be physically fit? That's totally up to you. However, for me, I like someone who very takes care of their body. They work out, they exercise, they look very nice, because I mean, let's just be honest, physical is what you look at. So I think there's many men who want women that look physically beautiful, and I want a man that looks physically fit, okay? So that's number 3. Number 4, he has to have grit. I talk about that a lot in my lives, the fact that that I have grit. So any man that I have or that I attract, he has to have grit too. He has to be able to go in the grind even when there's struggles. He can't really get defeated. He has to just keep pushing through, whether it's in business, whether it's at work, whether it's anything in life. I feel like you need grit. So yeah. Number 5, he has to love to, I don't say he has to, but the trait that I want is, I love a man who likes to learn, but he also likes to teach. I think that a lot of times right now we live in a generation where a lot of people want to be teachers and they want to share their wisdom, but it's something beautiful for a man that could sit down and also learn and receive and know that he doesn't know everything. So I think that I want someone who can not only teach, but they also can learn and receive from other people. Number 6, he has to have a kingdom mindset. Now, a lot of women like to say, oh, he got to love God. That's great. But there's a difference between going to church and religion, and there's a difference between the kingdom. And I think for me, the man that God has called me to and that he would send in my life has to have a kingdom mindset. And that is beyond necessarily religion. I'm not going to go into really what kingdom is, but if he's watching this, he knows what I'm talking about. So he has to have a kingdom mindset and wanting to do the work for the kingdom of God. Number 7, diversity. He has to embrace diversity. For me, I like a man who really does see diversity in all areas, whether it's people, whether it's music. I'm not really a one-track minded person, and I don't want someone who's just like me. But for me, because I am diverse, I think that it's important for the man that I'm necessarily with to embrace diversity, because I do meet many different people, and if he's just kind of one zone focused in certain areas, it's going to be really hard for him to, you know, be with me in other diverse areas. So yeah. Number 8, conversation. Like, communication and conversation is the most important thing for me. I love a man that I can converse with. Like, I know back in the day you could stay on the phone for like 8 hours. Like, honestly, if I could stay on the phone with my man for 8 hours and like we just laugh and have good like we converse very well, I think that's so important. We don't always have to agree, but conversation. I love a man that can communicate and that can talk, and maybe not as much as I do, but he can hold a conversation. Number 9, he has to be a big kid. I'm a big kid at heart, and I think that it's so important for the man that God sends in my life to always remember to be a big kid too. You know, life can get very difficult. It can get very hard, and being a big kid keeps you young at heart. And I just want a man. You guys probably saw my video when I went like flipping in the gym. Like, I love doing spontaneous stuff like that. So if you could be a big kid at heart, yeah, I just love that in a man. Number 10, now I'm going to some physical stuff. Teeth. That's like, a beautiful smile is my weakness. I'm so sorry. Like, I love a man with a sexy smile. Babe, if you're out there and you're watching this, I don't know if you are, even if your teeth are just not the best, like, just as long as you have a beautiful smile. I just love a beautiful smile. Like, it just weakens me in all areas of life, okay? Number 11, I am totally, like, I try not to be very picky, and I'm not picky, but I'm totally team brown skin, okay? Like, I just can't get with light skin brothers. Like, I just can't. Like, you gotta be like my complexion or darker, okay? Now, I'm not gonna be picky with God, but I'm just saying, like, I'm totally team brown skin. Nothing against you Chris Brown lovers and stuff out there, but light skin just don't do it for me. Like, I want some brown caramel, maybe chocolate babies. Number 12, he has to be very smart or a nerd. I just like men who like to learn. Like I said that already. Just if he's very wise and smart in whatever field, it doesn't have to be any field, but just always liking to learn. I'm a big nerd, and people think that I'm not, but I am. And I love technology. I love, doing really like, working with computers and cameras and audio visual. And my husband doesn't have to know how to do that stuff, but I think it's just nice to be like a little nerd like me, and people don't know it. Number 13. Most people get mad at me when I say this, but it is what it is. My future husband, or the trait I look for in a man, is no kids and never have been married. I'm sorry. People say, Ariel, that's shallow. What's wrong with a man that has kids? I don't have kids, and I've never been married, and I believe that I'm going to experience the first with whoever God sends in my life, and I believe that I deserve that. I mean, it depends on whoever. If you can handle someone with kids and who have been married before, that's you. But I do know that there's still single men that are out there who do not have children, who have never been married, and that we can go through that journey together for the first time. And that's just my preference and what I look for in a man. So it doesn't mean that if you reach out to me and you have children, that I'm gonna say like, oh no, I definitely don't want to be with you. But that's just a trait that I look for. Number 14. He has to have accountability of other men within his life. I think that's so important for a man to have accountability of other men, and not just thinking that you have to figure this thing out on your own and that you know everything and that you are the ultimate man. I think it's so important to have friends that are accountability. I think it's so important to have men that are mentors that are accountability, because marriage is not easy. And I think that when you have those accountability partners who can speak into your life and encourage you on that journey, that's so important. So when I meet a man, I always want to know like what other men are a part of his life that can speak life into him and continue to cultivate him as a man, because I feel like we all need that. We all need accountability, and accountability helps you also stay faithful as a man. Number 15. Interactions with kids. I think that I love kids. I love being around with kids, and so when I see a man who can interact very well with kids, that just melts my heart. It's so cute. But he has to like kids and just interacting with them. He doesn't necessarily have to want them, but just being around children, I think that that's so important. 16. I would like a man that can cook. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm not the best cook, okay? I can cook, but I'm not the best cook. cook. It's different. So if you can cook, that's really attractive to me. It's just knowing how to cook. You don't gotta be chef, you know, all over the place, but just making a meal would be really nice. I can make a meal too, but you know, just it helps. Number 17, I look for a man who also can be a homebody. I really honestly do not like being out and about. I love being at home. I love chilling. I love just laying in the bed and relaxing and watching TV. And I feel like if my man has to be all flashy and all out and moving and pacing, like sometimes I just don't like to do that. I like to just have my own zone, my own peace. So yeah, someone who's a homebody. Number 18, I look for a man that can be my best friend. That's really what all these traits are kind of about anyways, that if we can vibe and we can form a friendship, I feel like friendship lasts so much more when we can enter into a friendship and then go into marriage. So if you can be my best friend, I feel like that's also another level of accountability and faith that you have with your wife as well, is because when that person is your best friend, you really don't want to let your best friend down. You really want to communicate with your best friend. Even when you have disagreements, you guys stay by each other's side. So I look for someone that I can vibe with and that we can be best friends. It's not just, ooh, you're attractive, we can go on a date, but can I really, like, can you be my best friend for life? Like, that's really what I'm looking for. Number 19, he has to be activating his gifts and his hobbies. Now, I'm not saying that he has to be like, ooh, a preacher, a speaker, and all this different stuff, but whatever his gifts are, whatever his hobbies are, I like to see him do that. That could be something as simple as music, it could be something as simple as crafts, like whatever it is. I just think that it's so important to have hobbies and that you continue to activate your gifts, because that's what I like to do, and I think it just always keeps us growing. Number 20, I like a man that values small things. Money and cars and clothes are great. I'm not really one of those girls that want all that stuff and the fancy dates and the high-end things. Like, that's just not me. However, if you can value small things, like I love doing small things, and it may not be your thing, you know what I mean? Like, it may not be his thing to want small things, but if you value it, I think that's so important. Like, for example, I sent my friends just a letter in the mail. Something as simple as receiving a letter in the mail and just saying thank you, like, that just goes a long way. I mean, just valuing it. I mean, if you're just someone who always has to have a nice fancy watch or whatever the case may be, small things matter, and I just think that if you could at least accept those, then that's good. Number 21, someone who challenges me. I can be very stubborn and I can think I know everything. And sometimes I meet men who just kind of like don't like to challenge me back. Like, I like being challenged. Like, I feel like if someone could tell me, like, look, Ariel, like, shut up first off. Like, let me tell you something. And like, just challenge me a little bit. Like, I like that. So if you're just gonna be passive and let me just get away with anything, like, no, challenge me. Like, help me grow. Like, give me some wisdom, okay? Just sit me down and be like, girl, honey, like, let me talk to you real quick, okay? Number 22, he has to have a great relationship with his mom. I think that's so important. I look at men in their relationship with their mom, whether their mom is still alive or have passed away, just seeing how their interactions have been with their mother. I think that that's just very important. So that's a trait that I look for in a man. Number 23, no perfection. I'm not perfect. Even though a lot of times people like to put me in this box and think that I am perfect, I'm not. And I feel like there's no such thing as a perfect person. There's no such thing as a perfect man. And so I look for a man who understands that he does have flaws, and that's okay. And he's not trying to cover that up and think that he's super duper perfect and not trying to embrace the flaws that he necessarily has. I think that that's, you know, very important to know what your flaws are, what your weaknesses are. Number 24, a man that can necessarily nurture my heart. As a woman, I have a heart for men in general. I have a heart overall. And if you can nurture my heart and really hear my heart and regard it, that to me is very important, because a lot of times I say a lot of things out of my head, and really it's like, you know how people say, don't charge me about my head, charge me about my heart? Like, that's kind of how I am. Like, we all may not always have good days. And so when you really can know the heart of who I am, that's important. Which brings me to my next point, is you value the woman. I think for me, a lot of times people see what I do and who I am and stuff like that, and they forget that I'm a woman. They forget that I need tenderness. They forget that I want to go on dates. They forget that maybe I just want my hand held and nice conversation. Yeah, I could kick it. I could be cool. Like, I could be one of the, homies as well. Like, I could be business minded, but at the end of the day, like, I'm a woman. And I think a lot of times men give girls attention that they to value the woman, even though they're just little girls, and then real women get like just the leftovers and nothing. Like, no, like, I want that too. And I think that I just met men who kind of just think, oh girl, you don't need no fancy date, like I can't do that with you. No, like, the woman in me wants to be tendered to, or whatever that word is. So number 26, he has to be strengthen me in my weaknesses. I have a lot of weaknesses, and I think that the trait that I look for in a man is someone who can strengthen me in those weak areas, because we just need a lot of balance as well. And so for me, instead of just nitpicking on those weaknesses or looking at those as weaknesses, really looking at how can I, build her up in that standpoint. Number 27, that brings me to valuing my gifts and who I am and what I do. I meet a lot of men who say, oh, you're just too busy for me. You just got a busy life. I believe the man that God has for me is not going to consider me busy. He's going to actually say, man, I love what you're doing. Like, I love the gifts that you are actually using. I love the purpose that you're in. And I don't consider that busy. I consider that being being used and being valuable to the kingdom of God and to the earth, not busy. So yeah, if you ever meet me and you're like, oh God, you're too busy for me, bye, you ain't the one for me. Okay. Number 28, the trait I look for in a man is that he sees God as a father. I think that we all see God as many different ways, but for me, I think his view on God, if he has allowed himself to see God as his father, then that to me tells me a lot about him as a man and his relationship with God, and not just someone as a provider, not just someone as a rescuer, not just someone as, many different things of how people view God, but a father first. I think that's so important. And last but not least, 29, is I look for a man who sets order. I think that order is very important. Order is part of the kingdom of God. I think that you have order that needs to abound within life, and when a man can come and he can set order, then that is something that appeals to me and I love, and I think that's very attractive. So yes, this is my day 5. Like I said, 29-day live challenge. I just told you guys 29 traits that I look for in a man. When I get married and y'all see my husband, you'll see if he has these traits. I don't know, but this is just what I necessarily see, what I look for, what I necessarily desire. And yeah, I'm not gonna say he gotta have everything, but just what draws me. Okay, so thank you guys for watching on this 29-day live. Oh, and I'm gonna do a little pub. If you really do want to understand the great men, the minds of men, and you really want to be empowered in your life, in your love and relationships, please join me for a free conference that I'm hosting with my mom called Good Man versus Great Man, and it's totally free. You can register at bit.ly/greatman2018. I'll put the link below, and I want you to get registered. It's for men and women, because men are coming together on a platform to empower women and men in their life, love, and relationships, and becoming a great man. And I don't know if I said all of this, but all the traits that I incorporated and I talked about today all stem from a man really knowing his identity and who he is. And that's the number one thing that I want. I want a man who knows who he is, not opposed to just what he does. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're seeing this on YouTube, which I'll upload, and I'll go live again because I didn't go live yesterday, so I'll go live twice in one day. All right, thank you guys, and have a great rest of your day.